So hello everyone. Today, fortunately, we have another professional who is going to share his interaction with like internal interviews, external interviews, and we explore some of the topics related to Scrum, project management, not necessarily just for interview, but a generic discussion. Okay, so how do we start? Which put your first question maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, see, it's based upon my Scrum Master interview with the client. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
service-based company.
Mm-hmm.
First interview I can give to Shakal is how to achieve a cordial environment in a team.
See, this is a very open-ended question, I would say. So how do you achieve a good environment? It is relevant for project manager. It is relevant for Scrum Master. It's relevant for everyone. And I think it depends upon where the team is. Is it an existing team having dysfunctions, or is it a new team which is getting formed? So if someone asks me, then I will start with that. I understand it's a bit bigger, wide
Yeah,
question.
I
And
can
if,
add.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
See, before see, in service-based company, we doesn't know it's a new environment or a new team or it's already team is been going on. Doesn't know, but the question will be there like this is asked like this: how
Perfect.
you,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
how
we
to
can,
achieve a coordinated environment in a team. That's all.
yeah. So in a way, if I have to answer that, I would say that there are some foundational principle which will help me in achieving better relationship among the team. And then there will be a context sensitive approaches. Like as we go in a particular situation, we identify how do we apply which particular technique to handle that. Now, what could be the foundational principles? So I would say that we need to have some amount of investment so that people know each other, so there is a some kind of a connect between people which improves the trust. So there I will ensure that there is a familiarity by way of knowing each other by with the help of a team building activity, something which might be online offline, which first makes people know each other. So that's a one principle, and it depends how much I need to apply to it, but this is like a foundational thing. So I make people know each other. The second thing is I also make people to have some clear understanding of how to work with each other. Now, in order to do that, again, I'm talking about principal things. There may be things which need to be added depending upon the context. Now, how do I ensure that people know how to work with each other? Probably I help them to come up with the ground rules. So I facilitate conversation where they can have something like a team charter, they can have a ground rules. So they are clear how to work, when to work, what to do, what all processes are there in place, which helps them. It is not for enforcing something, but it helps them to work well with each other. So first I make them know each other, which will help the people to go with the trust thing. Second thing, I ensure that people have a clarity on how to work with each other. That's the second thing. The third possible thing is, which I do, is bring a clarity and transparency in the system. So I bring more and more processes where people know what to do next. Say your Kanban board, say your whatever tools you use. Maybe you have a daily Scrum, which ensures people are aware what is happening inside the team. So I look for the processes, maybe a clarity of definition of done. So we bring as much clarity which is needed for that level of team, and they feed to each other, because once you have a working agreement, it triggers that we need to have a clarity on how do we operate as a process among them. And once the process is there, the process should be built on transparency. So I ensure that people know what is going on there. And by doing it, I promote frequent interactions. So like I started with people knowing each other. I made the ground rules. I helped them to come up with the ground rules. I put the systems and processes in place with the help of the team only, and then promoted frequent interaction by and taking various agile meeting as an opportunity for the team building things. So by way of giving them space, way of giving them opportunity to work together, because working together itself is a very big team building activity. So you can say that, these are the some of the ideas which I work on, and depending upon what kind of a team, what is a difference in their experience level, what is their background of working together, from which geography they are coming from, I may need to adapt to various other ideas. But this is like a foundational thing I may start with. What do you think? What else you want to add here?
Right. It's what I have been looking up. It's all I've been. You said, Shaker. It's good to know
Good.
this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
This is the point where I was thinking of that. It was good from listen from you.
Yeah. So
And
what I
next,
believe here is such kind of a questions are very subjective in nature. So don't try to give a very predictable steps. Don't say that I will do this, I will do this, and this will produce a great team. Yeah.
right,
Because there could be a variability. So try to be a little tentative. Say that I have some fundamental ideas. These are some guiding principles. But what exactly I will do, it will depend where the team is. Maybe they already have a ground rules, maybe they don't have a ground rules, maybe ground rules are confusing, nobody follows them. So all things will depend once I go there. But this is kind of a building block foundations which will help me in building a good relationship among the team members.
great,
Yeah.
Shaker. I will take your point. And the next question will be, what are the essential for a Scrum team to do well?
Okay, kind of related.
Yeah,
So
it's
see,
similar thing.
yeah, similar thing. I teach agile coaching and all. So we do talk about developing high performing team, making things so that people can work well. And time that how the team is working, there are two dimensions to it. What is working well? Yeah. How do we define working well? So you can say that I look for two dimensions of working well. One is about productivity dimension. Do they have a clarity of work? Do they have a required skills? Do they have a required resources? Do they have a mechanism to manage dependency? So there are some tools. Do they have a required tools which can help them to build, automate, and all those things? So that's a pure productivity side. And then there is a positivity and relationship side, like how well they trust each other, how well they raise issues in front of each other, where my ground rules and other stuff will help me, how easy to resolve conflict, how easy to challenge ideas, how easy to show issues. Like I create an environment where the issues should not be like they are not hided. You come forward, you talk about them, and people discuss them, and we create a no blame culture. Sometimes people use the word trust, but I usually try to be a little more deeper than trust, because trust is a little abstract, maybe more concrete. So we build transparency culture, we build no blame culture, we build a collaborative culture where people are challenging each other, and as well as putting the accountability towards the goal. So this is like, you can again say that in general I look for these two dimensions when I work with a team. Now, depending upon where the team is right now, are they struggling in productivity, are they struggling in positivity, what are their pain points, depending upon those things I will take them forward. Yeah, and you can bring some old stories also, that there was a project which I was involved in, and team were new, they were trying to do everything, but they were always struggling because they were lacking skills and resources and the knowledge of the system, about the processes. So even if I make them more team building, but they are not going to achieve anything, and that thing was demotivating them because they were unable to produce something. So I helped them to navigate through the system, I reduced those impediment, I got them required resources, and they started feeling good about it, and then that produces a better relationship. So you can bring such kind of one or two example, and probably that may satisfy the guy who's looking for this. Yeah.
Yeah, second. It was a good thing. See, how you are making the examples when you're saying, I don't know. So you're giving a good examples when you're telling some few things. It is coming fluently from your side. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So I think, yeah, that's an important point. So when, especially, in today's world, like right or wrong, in our service based industry, the interview is not a one time process. It's a 6 monthly process. It's a 1 year process. Like every 6 months, a professional may end up giving interview to client, to someone, to get a particular position. So I think some amount of a preparation and some amount of collection of these ideas can make your answer goes fluent, because you might have faced all those things, but you might not be able to compile them together if you have not thought through
Right.
in advance. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So that's the one thing. The another thing is you can take some help from the models. Like there are models about team building. There is a model called 5 dysfunctions of the team. So there are some models which gives you a vocabulary to organize your thought. But don't talk about pure models only, because else your answer will look theoretical. The person will say, oh, this guy must have read the book and he's telling that book. So bring the real story, but try to model it around a model, because model will help you to communicate well. So right, the way I did is I picked up the model. It's a team coaching model which talks about productivity and positivity. Now, but I put it in a way so that even if the other guy is not aware of the model, he will not realize it. Yeah, but that model helped me to organize my thoughts.
Right.
I
Second.
have a
See,
productivity model, I have a positivity side, and I work on both
yes.
the side. Yeah.
Yeah. See, while attending one of my interview, say I was saying in November 16, the Scrum guide has been changed. Some 10 points has been changed, but towards the client, he doesn't know. He is following the same Scrum guide.
Yeah. So and maybe it doesn't matter for those people. So
Yes.
so
Yes.
what, and sometimes there is a risk also. It depends upon who is the next guy. Sometimes they may start thinking, oh, this guy looks like too bookish. Yeah,
Yes.
we don't follow something written in the guide, we follow what we do. Yeah, so we need to see how this guy can do it. So try to talk about the concept. So for example, something has changed. Maybe the servant leadership has been removed, and say the leadership only. So maybe rather than saying that it is no more servant leadership, it is leadership, you can say that, I appreciate that sometimes the servant leadership got misinterpreted by the people, by the team members, as well as by the organization. I primarily focus on the leadership, and I appreciate the new way of looking at Scrum is also focusing on leadership. So we have to lead the team, not necessarily leading from the front, but from the background, from the enablement perspective, and that is what we do as a Scrum Master. So in a way, you are talking about what has been changed, why they have been changed, without necessarily referring to them.
Yeah, that's the same thing. The next question is based upon that only. See, nowadays the Scrum Master role is changed to a agile project manager. So it's this thing. The client requires the project should move in nothing it should not come to a critical position. So it requires a flow smoothly the project to be completed. So third question is how will you handle a team member who is not performing? Because Scrum Master never go through the team performance, he never face these things.
No, he can face as well. See, there are two things to it. One is that, see, when we work in a service industry, yeah, where client is giving us a work, there will be good amount of project management skill needed in the Scrum Master. That will be expectation of your employer also, because they will ask you to manage billing, they will ask you manage
Yes.
timesheets, and there will be other forecasting, risk management, change, identifying the responsibility of change as per the contract, always keeping contract in mind. So such kind of stuff will come to your role. Now you call it Scrum Master role, you call it additional role. You can differentiate it. It's I am doing Scrum Master plus project management role. You can say that in a way, but there will be some amount of such kind of responsibility which will come to service industry guy, and even talking to the customers and real product owners and getting requirements. I am seeing requirements management and user story management related work also in some context get added to that particular person's profile. I'm just not using the word Scrum Master. Now that's a one thing. Now we come to the question related to how do we deal with the person who is not performing. One of the team member is not performing, and how do you deal with that? See, this is a problem, and if I ask this, many people who are working in an environment, or who have worked into multiple team, must have faced this issue multiple times, where you have a one guy who doesn't want to work, or he has a various reasons of not collaborating with others. So we need to find out what is the issue. Now there could be multiple patterns. There cannot be a one guy and universal application of it. There could be a one person who is very strong in technology and he knows a lot about the product, but his attitude is no more collaborative, but he knows so many things that you can't get rid of the guy. So you need to tolerate that guy, but at the same time, he is creating a lot of issue for you. So that could be a one type of person, and that is very frequently seen. And sometimes these type of people are clients employee. So you have a client and vendor mixed team, and you are the scrum master, and there are three, four
Yes.
people from the client, and you have a one guy who is a client guy, and he is no more interested in doing it because he internally feel these guys are taking job away from us. That could be another reason, and if I collaborate with them, they may take the whole work to the Indian company, and we will not be getting this project. So they may have their own
Yes.
reasons of not collaborating with you. So that's a reality.
Yes.
There is no thing of it. So that's a one type of thing. The another type of possibility is there is a new guy, and he has a little attitude issue, that he's little less collaborative, and he just want to focus on his part of the work because he don't want to create many problem for himself. So he want to minimize his involvement all the time. So there is a guy who has been hired somehow in the team, but he has an attitude of minimizing his work. So that could be the another type of thing. There could be a third type of person who is little casual in working. So he is okay, he is not doing anything knowingly, but unknowingly he end up creating mess for others. So he end up forgetting things, he end up not checking in the code well. So he end up creating a lot of things which creates issues for other people. So there could be many such patterns. So I just spoke about three, there could be few more. So we can say that, okay, there could be multiple. So if I have to answer this, like I says, there could be multiple reasons, and I have faced these people in my past work experience, and different people
Mm.
need to be handled differently. I definitely try to fix the issue first. So fix the issue is, if I have a power to do a 101, if I have a power to influence the person, so understand why he's behaving in a particular way, if I can do something for him, or we can find out some collaborative working agreement with the team, we try to fix that issue. That's one thing. If I can't fix the issue, then, and if the person is so important for us that we can't lose him, then we need to find out how do we ensure that issue is not getting spreaded in other people. So how do I quarantine the issue? So I usually use the word, I try to fix first, but if fix doesn't work, then I try to quarantine it. And in the quarantine, I try to fix over a period of time. So I may say, okay, for you, we will work differently. We will always send email to you, and we will expect a reply in email only for you. This is what we understood, because you are not going to collaborate with us the way we want. But over a period of time, I will see that if I can build a trust, and then I can take him towards my side. So yeah.
Yeah, Saket, one thing I have to add this in your answer. See, when I was answering for this question, I was saying that first I will let this to a team in the retro meeting session. I will discuss in the retro meeting session. Then after that, I will discuss with the one-on-one. This will be the good answer will be there, or how this should be been
So, see,
answered.
technically, what I believe is, if retros are done well, they can solve most of the problems. Yeah,
Right.
because the idea of retro is that only you have an issue, you look at the issue, and then you move forward. So it is
Mm.
it is it is good enough. That type of analysis I was doing many times, that becomes when you enter in the system and you have these situations. You have a situations which is already a dysfunctional team.
Yes, most
So
of the situation will be like this only.
yeah, so in those cases, we can do it in a retro, and take it forward. There could be some cases where the team is not yet ready to have such kind of discussion in retro, because they are not yet
Oh,
matured enough, and the person might feel offended if such kind of a discussions are happening there. Or you may also feel, because sometimes it may become little difficult to handle the emotions when many people are looking into it. So there is a possibility you may keep it little first at a private level, and figure out
oh.
the one-on-one level. And there is a, if there is a team is matured, then you can share the required information with the team also, that this is what we are facing, how do we support that guy, how do we work here. Yeah, so that is also a possibility. Yes.
Yeah, most of now we are working for a client. All the what you said first point is we are working for a client purpose. That all the employees will be towards the client only. I will be working as a scrum master. I have
Yeah.
to take
Yeah.
care of the team of 10 to 11 people.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
the thing. If it's a collaborated, self-organized team, is nothing to vary. If the problem occurs, means I have to discuss one on one.
Yes.
Then we
Yes.
have to move
Yes.
further. If we it is well organized teams, we can discuss in the retro meeting. Right.
Yes, we can work on the ground rules. We can work on the
Make
retro
it our
meeting.
agreement,
Yeah,
working
make an
agreement.
agreements. Yes, yes, yes,
Good
Yeah.
to know. And another fourth question will be what to do if burn down is not idle. So I've been heard your lot of videos in YouTube your YouTube channel, but then too I have to listen what to be answered.
I know, I know. See, now burn down is not ideal. What does it mean? Yeah. So we need to understand. And as you said, if we have a good retro working, this is resolved. We discuss it in a retro. That's the whole thing.
Yes.
So that's a important thing as well. So the major thing is your focus should be that how do I facilitate a conversation towards the when the burn down is not ideal. So that should be the first approach. You says, I will talk to the team and I will ask them what is happening here and how it
Mm.
impacts us, like what is the possible impact on the team, and they might not be aware of that impact. We will discuss how possibly we can have a better life, better burn down, because better burn down means we have a better predictability for ourselves and we don't rush to the work when we have towards the end. Now that's actually a right way of doing. But many time in the service space, industry space, they might be looking for some insight, project management type of insight. When does the burn down end up having such issues? What are the probable reasons? Yeah. So
Yes.
they might be looking for that
Right.
intelligence from
Right.
you. So then you can talk about there are few probable reasons. One probable reason could be that we have a kind of waterfall inside the sprint. So we are starting a lot of work, we are not finishing the user story, we only finish towards the end. Yeah. So
Mm.
that's one possibility, so that it becomes little unpredictable during the sprint. So if I have a 2 weeks sprint, I will only know how it is going well or not only towards the end, when there are 3-4 days left, because people are finishing their testing and everything. Then I only know that only how many stories are going to finish and how many stories will not finish. So that could be the one situation. Yeah. The second situation is kind of a related, where so this situation can be resolved by way of maintaining work in progress limits, by ensuring that periodically we finish the user stories, mark them done, so we know this, the team knows, rather than the team end up knowing how we are progressing towards the end goal. So that's the one
Yeah.
possibility thing. Yeah. The
Yeah.
second
Like
possible, go ahead.
yeah, sorry for so
No
I
problem.
see after this COVID-19 situation, we the trust what we had, everything and went, it's in moving in other way. We have never be having a trust between the team. So even though the communication gap has gone, it's a gap is going bigger and bigger. So it's a trust is not happening. So further, this is the main the daily communication is break in this.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the second thing, where you are saying that there is no transparency of what people are doing and they are not
Right.
sharing their information. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what they are not doing, they are not updating the various communication tools. For example, you have a tool where you need to update which story is how
Mm.
much complete, what all is left, so that we know what all is left inside the sprint. So that is not
Mm.
getting updated well. The daily
Yes. Yes.
scrums, maybe people share part of the information, and even if that is shared, that doesn't get reflected on the tool. So people may
Right.
talk a little bit, but the tool is not getting reflected. And since people are working from remote location, not adhering to the processes of updating each other might also show a zigzag burn down. And idea is
Mm.
zigzag burn down may reduce the transparency from the system, because the burn down shape is not important. What is more important is we know how we are progressing, and what should we do in between the sprint so that we achieve the sprint goal. So that could be the second thing. Third possible thing could be that you have a large user stories,
Yes.
where you take time and they get done or not done. It is little bit related to the first problem only. But sometimes first problem can exist with the small user stories also, when people are not keeping work in progress limits. But when you have a big user stories, then there is a high possibility of these issues, because things are getting accumulated by the time it finishes. So I think especially in an interview space, you may say that this is something I have observed in the past, but for here I don't go with any judgment. I
Mm.
work with the team, I show them the data, and I work with them rather than telling them, guys, you need to create a small stories or you need to limit work in progress. We work together, we see what is the impact of it, and then we will work to find this solution for all of us. Yeah.
Okay, Shakir. So final, I think this, I got a final question. That is, so how to deal with the external stakeholders?
Yeah.
So why?
Yeah.
Because as a Scrum Master, I've been working as a Scrum Master. I've been not more attracted or contact between the stakeholders more. So if you're nowadays, if you're working as a project manager role, agile project manager role, this situation will come. So how to deal with the stakeholders?
Perfect. See, working with the stakeholders is going to be the skill which is needed to, like, in a scrum environment we expect product owner doing a lot of stuff, but scrum master
Yes,
may
yes,
also end up doing. And in a project management space it was always needed, so you should be able to
yes,
work with the stakeholders. Now again, a little bit subjectivity is there. You don't know who is that stakeholder, what he really wants, and what is his
yes.
interest around it. So we can say, when I am answering, so there could be a various classification of stakeholders. There are people who are going to use my product. There are people who are influential, who can change the product backlog. They are giving input to the backlog but may not necessarily use my product, say marketing people and all, who are primarily working with the product owner. There could be other stakeholders which could be other teams, especially for scrum master. That may become a critical thing, where you have a people who might provide you something, or there might be some teams who might take something from you. So there are
Mm.
like supplier and consumer of your applications. Yeah. So
Yes,
that kind of a
yeah.
stakeholders could also be there. Many times the product owner may deal with the external stakeholders related to uses and priority input, because that's the whole thing. But the external parties, which are technically supplier and receiver, may, and compliance people, security and all those things, they may come into the scrum master buckets. You need to
Mm.
keep the compliance guy satisfied that we are adhering to the compliance. You might need to keep the quality or the security person satisfied that we are also meeting the security guidelines. So that kind of a stakeholders might come into the picture. So how do we start with? So you have a proper identification of it. So you do
Mm.
continuous refinement of stakeholder identification. It's not a
Mm.
one-time job. So you believe that over a period of time, the stakeholder influence, stakeholder interest may also change, and the new stakeholder will keep coming and going. So I need to identify who are these stakeholders. Second, I
Mm.
also work closely with the product owner when it is leading to a stakeholder, because the product owner might be dealing with those stakeholder related to requirement related issues, and I might be also dealing it with some impediment related issue for providing support and all. So I closely work with the product owner. And once I have an identification, then I look for engagement opportunities. Now how do I engage? So there are two areas which usually in a project management we talk in order to deal with the stakeholder: communication and continuous engagement. So what is a communication? How do you keep stakeholder updated about what is going on in your area? So you have a mechanism of publishing report, you have a mechanism of organizing sprint demos, and you have a mechanism of sharing those information in the form of minutes of the meeting. So you come up with a clear communication structure. And especially, see, as a scrum master, we may think we have a sprint planning, sprint review, sprint retrospective, daily scrum, and it will take care of everything. But in a real world, you may have a people who want to know what is happening, but they don't have any interest or energy to come in any of these 4 meetings, but still they want to know what is happening. So you need to
Yes.
keep them informed. So some kind of a dashboard update, some kind of an email update, and you need to, so in a project management language, we call it communication plan. So based on set of stakeholders, I need to understand how do I communicate with them, how frequently I listen to them, even if they don't come into my meeting. But if it is important, I may go and
Mm.
talk to them on a frequent basis, or may do a scrum of scrum if there is a structure for it. So how frequently
Mm.
I tell them, how frequently I listen to them. So I have a clarity of communication management. And at the same time, I also talk about engagement management. So we identify along with the product owner which all stakeholders should be participating in various scrum events. So like
Mm.
reviews and plannings, primarily these are the
Yeah.
two meetings where you may see,
Uh,
or you may have a
yes.
special meetings also. Sometime you don't have to limit to these 4 meetings. You may realize there are a set of stakeholders who are important, but they are not that much interested. They cannot come every 2 weeks, but they can come once in a 4 weeks or once in a 6 weeks. So you may have a review meetings with them, which are not
Mm.
necessarily always aligned with your sprint review. So you understand what is their interest, and you how can you engage them? You may engage them in a story writing workshops. So that is something you work with a product owner. So identification, understanding their needs, then coming up with a communication management plan, and then coming up with the proper engagement. And these are the possible things which we can do to manage the external stakeholders. Yeah.
Good to know this. It's a big picture you showed me. These things, and there now the things are going in a project management role itself. It's no agile management, it's a project management. We are going through a Scrum Master role, so we have to take care of all the stakeholders.
Yeah. And especially, see, when you come from a product environment and you move to a service organization, then you face all these differences, because in a product environment, the whole organization is designed to take care of it. And that's a long lasting organization, means, this product, these are 4 people need to know. So all this problem has been resolved many years ago. And now in future, they are that set of people who always will keep getting updated. So the whole process is well defined in a way,
Yes.
because the stakeholders engagement is very well defined. When you go in a projectized environment, you follow agile or you follow not agile, that's all is temporary. So even you don't know who all are there. You don't know how much engagement you should do. You don't know who should be listened and who should not be listened. And it is all happening in a very short time. You are just here for 6-7 months, and after that this game is over. So
Yes.
so in that case, this whole things becomes important.
Yeah. Good, Saket. Good to having an interaction with you. So if anything means we have another session with you.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
Great, Sandeep.
Good. Thank you.
Any points from your side to add up?
Yeah. So my recommendation that only. So start looking and studying project management as well, especially when you are working in a.
I done my PMP.
Start
in
refreshing that maybe.
2016.
Yeah.
It was only for 5 years back. I done my PMP. It was a order from my manager. So it was a caution. It was a cost center. They gave money to have. If you want to do any course, please go. We will give the money. So then I done a PMP. I forgotten everything.
Yeah. So my recommendation is that only, and it is nothing like just PMP content or what. The idea here is, let's start exploring project management, especially because see, whenever the contract is coming in between, so your agility is defined based on that contract. Yeah, so that's the important. Yeah.
Yeah, I have the material, everything. I have the material. Last 5 years also are not thrown away, but it's there. All the materials are there. I can go through the material.
Yeah. That's it.
So
Thank you.
I think it's a chapter number 8 is a stakeholders engagement.
Yeah, stakeholders. And see, the PMP only talk about do this. There will be a lot of softer part of it. For example, PMP will say identify stakeholder. Now, the second question will be, how do I do that? So now you need to figure that out. That is not
I have
clear.
to figure out that.
Yeah. So the exam will, the paper, the PMBOK will say, you might do document analysis, you may do interviews, you may look at the project charter, but they are very vague. So especially when we are dealing with an interview, we need to come up with a little more concrete thing. So you may say, I look at the people who are going to use my product. I look at the people who are going to buy my product. I look at the people who are going to sell my product. I look at the people who are going to support my product. I'm looking at the people who might be taking services from us. So they want a little more concrete, Yeah. Okay. So which makes it feel that, okay, this person has done it rather than just read it. So when you read, try to relate it to, okay, how do I do that if I have to do it in this company, this project, and try to bring those keywords when you answer the questions.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah. Bye.
See you then. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.